How's it going? Welcome back to another great video with the majestic host, Savior. And today I just thought we would take a sit down and a relaxing time with a nice cup of tea. Yes, that's right, a nice British cup of tea. And we're just gonna take a look at the new Dragon Age The Veilguard video game that's around the corner. Now, this video, I basically want to look at the Dragon Age Veilguard reviews. Basically, I want to talk about Dragon Age The Veilguard reviews in this video because I think it's going to be an absolute cluster. Fun times we live on the internet where there's so much lovely positivity and there's no grifters, just clickbaiting absolute rage, to try and play political games around video games or anything else. No, of course not. How could YouTube be like that? So today I just want to give you my honest opinions. I'm not trying to placate to any side. If you know me, I don't do that. I just like to give you my logical take. And if you are new, please do consider subscribing to the channel, giving this video a like, as this is all that I do, okay? And I'm so passionate about my videos here, the community that I'm building. Even when, I'm not feeling the greatest, I still just want to give something to you guys, and I hope you can appreciate that. I recently saw a video posted by Jacksepticeye. I'm not really a big watcher of his channel, but he basically recently talked about how everything on the internet has become very toxic and, a lot of negativity. And sadly, I've seen that a lot, especially in the video game space. So I blend philosophical videos and gaming videos on my channel. And if that sounds interesting to you, then make sure that you do subscribe. But yeah, basically, I watched his video recently and I think that is true, especially within the video game space. It's pretty much everywhere, but especially in gaming. I understand modern day gaming kind of sucks, okay? I've been, known to call it out as well. I think the creativity is certainly lacking today. The passion behind games is certainly lacking because it's all about chasing checklists, especially with certain ideologies being pushed to try and grab more money, to interest more investors. I've talked about Sweet Baby Inc. just a few videos ago. There's no doubt there is, a problem within modern day gaming. But at the same time, we do get some amazing games still being created today. And a lot of discourse around new games today is basically just bashing on them. And it's not just in gaming, it's with anything. Anything that can be remotely political has become political now. And this game has certainly attracted that crowd, okay? And there are some things in this game which I do think is simply ridiculous, and it's obvious that they're just trying to placate to a certain crowd to certainly get, a higher ESG score and all that kind of stuff. And, that is disgusting and it is destroying creativity. But at what point do we actually stop talking about the game itself, stop talking about the creativity when your own biases and echo chambers just make you stop, and critically analyze something anymore? That's basically what's happened to the internet today. People can't just look at something and, decide themselves if it's good or bad, if they enjoy it or not. It has to, placate to some kind of tribal group. And I absolutely hate that. And that's what I want to discuss in this video, because I do think the Dragon Age The Veilguard reviews are going to be terrible, okay? They're going to be absolutely disgusting. And I did this video kind of recently with Shattered Space, and I was right about that because I thought exactly the same thing would happen then. And it did, of course. And that wasn't just because it was a bad DLC, which in many eyes, it was. And I honestly do think that, critically, just, logically looking at that game, objectively, it wasn't the best, and the DLC certainly was lackluster compared to Bethesda's last DLCs. But also, it was the fact that there's so much hate around Starfield, you can't escape it. And I think the same thing's going to happen with this game, okay? Now, there are some good aspects to this game, and there's a lot of, shit in this video game as well. And no matter if there is still a good video game beneath all of this stuff, I don't think it's going to matter, because the mob hatred for this game is going to destroy its reputation no matter what. And, like I said, there's certain things that they are doing in this game, like having top surgery scars, pronoun selections.
You serious?
And although it's not hurting anyone, I just don't understand why we need this in modern day gaming, okay? It's not about being inclusive. They don't give a crap about any of this stuff. They're simply doing it to be, brand friendly and to get more money, okay? And to me, that's disgusting, morality and ethics have just completely seemed to collapse in this modern society. And I know I'm talking about a game here, but it's the bigger picture, okay? When money's involved, that's all that matters. And with art, with creativity, which is what video games are at the end of the day, they are an expressive art form. It's just very sad to see it all being diluted by all of this bullshit. And then we can't even analyze the games themselves because there's so much like political discourse around it, and it's honestly kind of depressing, and I just wanted to talk about it today, so let's get into it. So I actually managed to play Dragon Age The Veilguard at Tokyo Game Show. I managed to go hands-on with it, and I will be dropping my early review quite soon, but first I just wanted to examine, what the Dragon Age Veilguard reviews will be, and like I said, they're all going to be mixed or negative. The people who are placating to a certain ideology or group are of course going to love this game, and the opposite crowd, the people who can't think for themselves, it doesn't matter what spectrum you're on, is also going to tear it to shreds simply because it does have some of those elements in this game that, like I said, aren't needed, and I don't know why they included them because it's just going to piss off more people than it pleases, okay? It's just going to cause a massive, division and barrier. So, no crowd is actually winning. So I just thought I would actually take a look at the game itself and talk about that whole discussion. So give this video a like because it really does help support this channel. I'm trying to do this full time. Consider dropping a donation or checking out my music. I'm so passionate about this community and I really do need your support. And do look out for my Dragon Age The Veilguard review video that will be coming out very soon, okay? So, from what I've played, from what I personally played, okay, do I think this is a terrible game? No, I don't think it's a terrible game. Do I think it's made a lot of, poor decision choices and design choices? Yes, of course. So, let's just talk about some of that because I've got a lot to get, covered, okay? So basically, first of all, I think there's going to be a massive divide simply because of the old fans of BioWare and this new soft reboot of Dragon Age, okay? So let's just get the elephant out of the room, let's kick it out. So the art style, okay? Graphically, this game is beautiful, I can't deny that. The effects, the mist, all of that stuff, it's very engrossing when I played it. But the art style and the tone, the theme that they went for, okay? This doesn't feel like Dragon Age, okay? It's trying to make you think through marketing that it does have dark stuff in it, dark in nature. It's nowhere near, mature levels of writing like you would see in Fallout New Vegas or a game like Vampire, a video game I'm going to cover soon because I've just been playing that recently and it's my favorite game in the last couple of years. But anyway, it's not, adult. This game is trying to capture a wide market, and I think the art style reflects that. It's just very over the top. Even in the combat, it's very flashy. Everyone looks like they've been AI generated for some reason. Giant foreheads, and you can play as KSI in Dragon Age. It's just they chose a very weird design for the art style, and BioWare have gone down like most companies have, because creativity is dying sadly in the West. Just due to the nature of media and, just the current state of humanity without any faith in anything. With only the belief in money and power, of course we get stuff like this. But yes, the art style I just think is not that appealing, and that's why so many people are pissed off of it. It doesn't look like original Dragon Age. Just look at this compared to the old Dragon Age. Now this is an overview of the game itself, the topic around this game, not the actual gameplay mechanics, which I'll go over in my Dragon Age The Veilguard review very soon. But yes, know that this game isn't actually bad, okay? This is kind of returning to a lot of action-focused game roots. There's a reason why a lot of people are comparing it to the new God of War game, because it is very combo focused, okay? And the way you chain your attacks together and mix it in with your companion abilities and all that stuff, how you can have runes for all of your weapons, and then you can even add enhancements to your abilities, not just your items themselves. So you can do things like, a toxic dash and all this kind of stuff. The classes are very fleshed out as well. You've got the mage, you've got the warrior and the rogue, but they've all got subclasses. For example, the slayer, where you're focusing on two-handed, big heavy weapons, kind of a tanky build. And then you've got stuff like the Veil Ranger, which is a heavily focused twist archery build that kind of dashes around and kind of mixes in some magic elements and all that stuff. You know, it's got good bones, okay? But what I found lackluster from what I've actually played, and what a lot of people are talking about, is the fact that the tone is off, okay? That's the big thing. You know, this doesn't feel like Dragon Age. If they called this something else, well, I think there wouldn't be a problem and this would get good reviews, okay? But because it's trying to do a soft reboot of Dragon Age, I think that's where there's going to be a lot of problems with the Dragon Age community. BioWare originally were so beloved, you know, with the Mass Effect series. They were serious, their lore was, you know, so detailed, and it was just high quality fantasy, okay? The writing can be interesting from what I've seen, but a lot of it is just like this generic, you know, kind of foreshadowing, just cringy stuff that we've seen in a lot of, you know, kind of just generic games, to be honest. It doesn't really have a lot to say. What does keep me excited and holds out hope for this game is the fact that there might be good choices and consequences, something that most RPGs don't care about today, which is very sad, but this one does seem to actually respect your choices. You can even choose like your faction in the beginning, you know, have a proper background for your character, and that will be referenced, and even choosing the faction, it actually underpins how you play the game, you know, like you might get a critical bonus depending on the faction that you choose. Certain factions will have different buffs, for example, like, you know, your abilities will cool down faster, afflictions won't be much of a big deal. You know, lots of RPG underpinnings to this game, and that's why I think this is going to be a good RPG game, because all of the gameplay mechanics that I'll talk about in my review are actually quite decent, but the actual, you know, what this game is and what it used to be, you can't separate the two, and this is just completely tonally off for many people, and I understand why people aren't happy with it. And then you have the whole discourse around, you know, this kind of you know, political stuff, which a lot of it is just grifters being grifters, or shills being shills, like Luke Stevens, who just will, you know, say that this game's amazing just because they want brand deals and they just care about money, they don't have any integrity. And then you get the political grifters saying that it's all bad because of it having some political messaging in it and some diversity forced into it, which of course is not good, because it just takes away creativity, it takes away, you know, the imagination of going into a world and having that escapism, and it certainly doesn't really do any favors. But does it make it a completely bad game? Well, it depends, you know, how much of that actually, you know, just dilutes the whole experience. If it's just a small little selection at the beginning of your character creation, does it actually matter? No, okay? So there's so many things that's just making this game so controversial, okay? And I just don't think it can escape it. Another thing is it doesn't seem to be respecting the actual, you know, history of Dragon Age. And that was such a great RPG series back in the day. You know, when you start the game, basically you only can import a few decisions from the previous game, and not even from the previous game, but just like a small slice of the DLC. So, you know, if this is trying to be a fresh reboot, why didn't they go, you know, further from the original Dragon Age? But they're trying to kind of link them, and that's why it just feels so off. It does look like they are fleshing out companions, they've all got their own side quests, and they, you know, now you travel with 2 companions instead of 3 of them, but they are fleshed out, their skill trees aren't as big as they used to be, but you can still customize a lot, and your abilities play off them much more in this game compared to previous games. A lot of the stuff and the action combat, you know, which feels much more refined. It's not like the best ever, you know, it's not maybe as good as Dragon's Dogma 2 or something like that, but it is flashy and fun, similar to God of War, the new one. I know a lot of people don't like that comparison, but honestly, it does kind of play that way. But it just seems a lot of these companies are forgetting what made their games originally great. You know, it's not just BioWare, it's Bethesda, it's so many of them. You know, they forget what actually makes video games great, okay? We don't just want cinematic movies to interact with. Again, it's losing that exploration, it's focusing on linear levels, something that some people aren't happy with. I personally think that that could work if they give you enough choice with its dialogue and there's enough, you know, depth there. But honestly, at the moment, it's like, you know, quite simple choices that do have, you know, consequences, but they're not, you know, like so heavily, but they're not so richly written that, you know, it makes you question your own morality or anything like that. So it's all very surface level stuff, and it's just like a shame to see what's happening to the gaming industry. It is quite sad that a lot of these developers are just kind of forgetting what made their games great in the first place, and their, experimentation is good, but this isn't experimentation, this is playing it safe, and that's what a lot of companies are doing, that's what a lot of people are doing now when it comes to any form of expression or creativity, and I just wanted to call it out today. I know this was a bit of a ranty video, but I was excited for this game, and when I actually got to play it, I didn't think it was a bad game, but I was just disappointed because this doesn't feel like Dragon Age. It still, seems like a solid RPG kind of light action adventure game, but this is just being marketed all wrong, to be honest. And there's a reason why there's going to be so much controversy around it when it launches, I'm sure. So I just really wanted to talk about the Dragon Age The Veilguard reviews, probably leaning towards the negative side of things, but this certainly isn't going to be, universally loved or highly praised, I don't believe, and they kind of shot themselves in the foot with this one. I just hope the industry learns that we don't just want, safe and kind of checklist designed games, that almost feel AI programmed. We want games that say something. We want games that take risks. We don't want games just to placate to what's going on in the modern world and strip all imagination and world building that could go into an imaginary fiction, universe and history. Just look at Lord of the Rings or any form of, media that stands the test of time. It's because they build that up. They don't strip it down, and that's just what's happening with a lot of creative projects these days, especially in gaming. And it's just sad to see what BioWare has become. This could still do a 180 and be a good RPG game, but I think what most people will be saying when the reviews drop is this is a good RPG linear action game. It's not a good Dragon Age game, and I just wanted to talk about it today. So I do hope you enjoyed this one. Let me know what you think down below in the comments, and I'll be seeing you in the next one. Peace out.